All right, let's stay with this breaking news story and speak to Advocate Modidima Mannya, who is a legal expert. Advocate, thank you so much for your time. What does this mean for the public protector?
Well, remember, the public protector has been challenging the rules passed by the National Assembly for this process. And the Constitutional Court made a ruling dismissing her appeal. She has now made an application for a rescission, which is now pending before the Constitutional Court. However, the National Assembly has decided to proceed because in law there's nothing precluding them from proceeding with the process. What they have now done is to notify the President, who is actually the appointing authority, because the public protector is appointed by the President after a process of the National Assembly. That may, of course, trigger something, which may be a decision of the President on whether to suspend the public protector from office or not.
And one of the things that she argues here is that she is vulnerable as you talk about this point of suspension. She says that she's vulnerable. Could that be a valid argument, you think?
I don't think it's an argument at all. If the President were to decide to suspend her, the President would most likely invite her to make representations on why she should not be suspended. And she would have an opportunity to persuade him whether it is appropriate for her to be suspended or not. But every other person who occupies a position is vulnerable to suspension at any given time.
And you talk about that because, we're looking at this particular issue. In Parliament, there was also that matter that then had to end up in the courts of her either getting a legal representation or not and all of that. But at the same time, she is accountable to the National Assembly, is she not?
She is. In fact, the court has clarified that the Western Cape High Court, where she started, found that it would violate her rights not to have full legal representation and has asserted that right. The Constitutional Court has confirmed that position, so she's entitled to that. But that does not mean she is not required to give evidence. She must give the evidence herself, not through the lawyers. The lawyers will assist her to give evidence, but she must take the stand if required to give evidence herself.
This is a first for Parliament. How do you see this playing out? Could we be in for some delays?
Well, I want to believe that the delays have fizzled out. I mean, this process was put on hold as a result of the litigation that she initiated, which ended up in the Constitutional Court. So I don't think there's going to be any further delays. I think the fact that Parliament has decided, the National Assembly has decided to proceed, despite the fact that her lawyers had written to indicate that they are going to approach the Constitutional Court, means that Parliament is now resolved to have this matter finalized.
And I wonder, that particular letter with an intention to get, to apply for a second rescission, if it were, could we see, maybe in your view as an advocate, could we see them say this process cannot continue further until we've gone to the Constitutional Court and you've prejudiced us by deciding that you are going ahead with this particular matter, despite the fact that we've written to you to say that we have the intention to go back to the Constitutional Court? Could we have such an argument play out?
Well, a person could make that argument, but it doesn't mean that argument will hold. The decision of the Constitutional Court on appeal paved the way for the National Assembly to proceed. If this process were to be stopped, she would probably have to consider applying to court for an interdict, and that is if she will be able to secure such an interdict. But bar any interdict, nothing precludes the National Assembly from proceeding. So
if she were to, of course, obtain this particular interdict, as you say, and then we see a delay in these particular proceedings, could we see her maybe finishing off her term in office without this matter even coming into play? Or may we see an accelerated process here?
Well, thus far, I think the litigation around this matter has been quite efficient. The normal process would have been to get leave to appeal from the Western Cape High Court, go to a full bench, go to the Supreme Court of Appeal. But she approached the Constitutional Court directly, and it held that it had the matter should be heard by it, and it had the matter. So to a very great extent, the litigation has been handled quite successfully. So I don't think that there will be delay in litigation.
And what does this then mean for the other work that she is currently doing as the Office of the Public Protector? We do know that she is, of course, also investigating, those claims and that complaint that was laid by Mervyn Dirks, who has now been removed from SCOPA against the current, of course, president, and the abuse of state resources. And this, of course, are allegations that are being leveled against the president when it comes to that particular audio that we heard. Could we see her recuse herself from this particular matter and handing over to her deputy while she's seized with this possible impeachment?
Well, look, let's assume she is not suspended. If she's not suspended, then she is expected to perform her duties. Of course, in the current circumstances, she may wish to take leave of absence to focus on this matter. And the Public Protector Act is very clear that when she is unable to perform her duties, the Deputy Public Protector becomes the Public Protector. So the Deputy Public Protector will proceed with the work that is being undertaken by the office.
Advocate Mannya, it looks like interesting times ahead, if anything you say is to go by, because if she decides maybe to interdict this particular process, we could then see yet another hurdle here, but it will be interesting to see how things unfold. Thank you so much for your time. That was Advocate Modidima Mannya. He's a legal expert. We are still trying to get more reaction to this particular story. We've also reached out to the Public Protector's Office, who are saying that they are going to be responding as well.